I still remember that night. I was serving them. It was just us two and Miss Winfrey. And it was the night that they decided that we were going to make him president. And I like to feel that the food helped enable that.
I'm Robin Sussingham, and this is The Zest. Citrus, seafood, Spanish flavor, and Southern charm. We're all about food in Florida. In this polarized political climate, what's one thing Republicans and Democrats can agree on? Fried chicken. Chef Art Smith talks about using food to bridge the political divide. I wanted to make sure that you know about stpetersburgfoodies.com. If you're looking for fun and good food in St. Pete, there are restaurant reviews and podcasts featuring local chefs, restaurateurs, happy hour suggestions, and a lot more. It's all online at stpetersburgfoodies.com. Chef Art Smith has cooked for presidents and governors, the Dalai Lama, and the royal family. He also spent a decade as personal chef to Oprah Winfrey, and frequent appearances on her show made him a household name. But regardless of celebrity status or political party, Smith says that nearly everybody has one thing in common, a love of Southern cuisine. He says comfort food helps us let down our guard and find common ground. This two-time James Beard Award winner showcases his appreciation for Southern food at his Disney Springs restaurant, Chef Art Smith's Homecoming Florida Kitchen. He also developed the menu for Splitsville, an upscale bowling alley in Tampa. Smith spoke to the Zest producer Dalia Colon from his home in Jasper in North Florida, where he lives with his husband, Jesus, and their 4 children.
I think a lot of people are most familiar with your name as Oprah Winfrey's personal chef for a number of years, but you are actually a Florida boy. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing and what foods feel most like home for you.
Well, I'm a native Floridian, and I am 7th generation. And, the part of the Florida I grew up is rural, agrarian, and people are very hardworking, so the food is very reflective of, the people that worked hard, ate heavy, comforting food. So a lot of dishes with gravies, as they refer to them here, as smothered, because it's more coastal. People eat a lot of rice. A lot of dishes are fried and then smothered. Lots and lots of vegetables. And this kind of idea of eating really has changed drastically. I mean, people, it hasn't changed because of health. It's changed because of the lack of the people to prepare the food. Sadly, much of the Southern foodways have been forgotten because the most cooks did not write their recipes down. In my family, there are very few cooks, and there's me, but there's just very few. And I preserved the food through my work. When I worked for Oprah Winfrey grew up in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. And she grew up, the foods are the same as Mississippi. And you'll find in Chicago, when there were communities that moved from the South to the Midwest and to the North, due to during that era for work, and also during civil rights, and looking for places that were safer and more accepting and understanding, and these foods had traveled with them. So you find these foods, but they're rare. One of the great doyens of Southern cooking, and many of them have gone, was Edna Lewis. You may be familiar with her, and she always said that the food of our region was probably the only food of our country that we could say is really part of our country, that it's that unique. Also, I love Jessica Harris, and she's a historian on food and has a lot of great, wonderful things. And Southern food, what we refer to Southern food, you look at the history of the region and the area, it was African Americans that created the dishes in which we enjoy, which we call Southern food. It wasn't until the 70s that the food was referred to as soul food, but Southern food just referred to the fact that it was food that was made in the South. And that's what's, for me, what has been important for me is that to take this food and present it around the world. I was noticing yesterday that Mr. Mandela's youngest daughter passed away. She's young too. She's only 59. And I remember cooking for her and her father and the family in South Africa for Oprah. And we were cooking Southern food. Oprah was insistent that we prepare our food in South Africa. And it was really amazing. I mean, it's been amazing to take recipes that have been handed down and, prepare them for people. At first when I started on this whole mission, I was supposed to be a piano player. I was supposed to be an artist. I was supposed to be a politician, and I didn't want to do any of that. I just wanted to cook. And I think the reason why I chose food was it was something that I was passionate about. I love the fact how food makes people happy. I was bullied badly growing up because I was gay. Food is medicine. I mean, food is something that really is important. When I moved to Chicago and then my life changed a lot. That's when I met Oprah. That's when I started doing a lot of parties. And my neighbor, Barack Obama, became...
Nice neighbor to have.
Yeah.
My neighbor is a guy named Bill Hill. And your neighbor was Barack Obama.
Yes. Well, it was never planned that way. It was just, we moved to this neighborhood called Kenwood, Hyde Park. And there was Barack Obama. And I met him before I think he was just senator when I met him. And I met him prior in the neighborhood, but then I met him and Michelle formally at Oprah's. And I still remember that night. I was serving them. It was just us two and Miss Winfrey. And it was the night that they decided that we were going to make him president. And I'd like to feel that the food helped enable that, When he became president and we went to Washington, I opened a restaurant called Art and Soul. I got a lot of, challenges with it because people said, "You really do believe that he'll be president?" I said, "Yes." And I said, for the capital known to be fairly soulless, I think there needs to be some soul. And so I opened this restaurant, and the restaurant was in close proximity to the Capitol. You could see it. And what I found is that many of those people who were on the Hill with their bills or whatever would come and eat my restaurant. And I felt like regardless of what side of the fence they were on, it was facilitating them and nourishing them. And it was quite interesting. I mean, I'd be honest with you, I probably had as much Republican business as I had Democratic business. I have a very famous saying that says, "Fried chicken takes no sides." And
I wanted to ask you about that. I was looking on the menu for Homecoming, your restaurant at Disney Springs, and I feel like there's one menu item that, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of summarizes your culinary point of view, which is the Hallelujah biscuit. Open-faced biscuit topped with your famous fried chicken, 2 over-easy eggs, pimento cheese, pecan smoked bacon, and smothered in sawmill gravy. Your menu also has okra fries and hush puppies and donuts, and there's a whole moonshine list. Why do you think Southern cuisine is uniquely positioned to bring people together? I mean, you talked about cooking for everyone from Oprah to the Obamas to Nelson Mandela and using that platform to showcase Southern cuisine. What is it about Southern cuisine that can bring Americans and people from other parts of the world together?
Well, I think because it's comforting and it comes from a place of pain. I've also served it to royalty, from Prince Harry, the Invictus Games, and I've cooked for at least 5 presidents. So I've cooked for Republican administrations at the White House as well as Democratic. And I think because of its comforting and its familiar ingredients, and I think they like the simplicity of it. I mean, a properly made biscuit is loved by all. A beautiful piece of fried chicken, crispy and tender and juicy, everybody loves that. Even those people that say they don't want it because of health reasons want it. But I think that what you find is that people who come from complicated lives choose to have food that's not complicated.
That makes sense. At the end of like a stressful day, I just want to sit on the couch with a bowl of cereal.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a bowl of soup.
Yeah.
I mean, Governor Bob Graham of Florida, a very popular 2-term governor, his favorite meal was a bowl of Campbell's tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. And we used to take that to him at the Capitol.
Now, as a chef, are you happy to serve that to someone, or do you feel like you have to do more?
I'm there to serve, not to give an opinion. You know, it's like sitting at a table having a conversation and your server chimes in on your conversation. You know how you feel. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're not there to add your opinion. You're there to provide a service. I mean, I have witnessed all kinds of conversations and I have heard all kinds of conversations and I've seen things and stuff. And personally, I did not agree, but I continue to be professional and do my work. There has been one time, and I'm not going to name it, where I was cooking for someone and I heard that they were not supportive of quality, and I called them up and I said, unless you change your views on equality, I cannot cook for you. So it's a two-edged sword. I can only imagine what's going on with Goya.
Oh, yeah. People boycotting Goya foods because the president of Goya is supporting President Trump.
But the people that work at Goya, think of all those jobs.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts them.
Yeah.
The president of Goya is entitled to say whatever he wants to say. And I understand this, but it is one of the world's largest Hispanic food companies, and he provides work to all those people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I once went after a company for their views, but I do believe that food is a beautiful way to take people to that place where you can sit down and communicate. I travel all over the world as a food diplomat, all over the Middle East, in Africa, China, Russia. I've cooked for many people, from the Dalai Lama to presidents, to royals and everything. And I've always found that food always makes things better.
Yeah, that's my motto. Do the royals use a fork when they eat fried chicken?
I don't remember seeing him using a fork.
Oh, that's good. That makes me feel better. They're like the rest of us.
Right.
You mentioned that you stood up for yourself and said, I cannot continue cooking for you unless you support marriage equality. What happened with that?
They turned around and started supporting it, and then went back to cooking.
Look at you. Wow. Look at you. I think this is why you're so successful, because you know when to stay quiet and when to throw your weight around. You mentioned that Florida Governor Bob Graham, was a fan of grilled cheese and tomato soup, which is the most comforting meal I can think of. I know you also cooked for Jeb Bush when he was Florida's governor. What did you observe about his eating habits?
What I love about Jeb is that his wife is Mexican. The children are multicultural, and they speak Spanish and English. So the food can be Texas, or it could be Southern. I love Barbara Bush. Thought she was a trip and firm, but a really lovely person. But I cooked lunch for him for his mother's foundation, the Barbara Bush Foundation, which he did a program here in Florida called the Celebration of Reading for years. And we served a lot of fried chicken, a lot of shrimp and grits. We did a lot of very local traditional foods, and which he enjoyed. He, like Bob Graham, was always constantly battling with his weight. So it's hard being in the public eye. It's hard being in the public eye and trying to, I myself had the same thing. I just lost 70 pounds, and then my whole thing is I don't want to gain it back. So I'm like been after, but I've cooked a few times in the White House in the Navy mess, which I enjoy. Are you familiar with the Navy mess?
No.
Well, there's the main White House, which is what one thinks of. But in addition, there's executive offices. And Chris is a beautiful lady, Filipino lady that Laura Bush hired. And she became the chef of the White House. And the chef of the White House does all the big banquets and things of that sort. And then there's another chef who cooks for the family upstairs. And then there's the executive offices, which is run by the Navy. And they prepare food daily for all the secretaries, Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Education, et cetera. And they do a wonderful job. And it's a beautiful paneled room. Anyway, I several times have cooked there. I have a funny story. When you cook at the Navy mess, they never really tell you who the plates are for. In these state houses, Lenox china has always been probably the number one china used for people for these type of places. We had the china in the governor's house, and they have it in the White House. It's an American china, ivory china with gold band. But what was interesting is that I noted that on the china, that the width of the gold on the plate was always different. So I came to the conclusion, the higher the rank, the larger the width of the gold. And the one with the most gold on the plate was the president.
And is that how it is? Is that accurate?
Yes.
That's hilarious. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I did want to ask, what's the difference between cooking for an individual, such as Oprah Winfrey, versus a group of people, like a state dinner or something like that?
I don't think there's a big difference. I think I have so much admiration and respect for Oprah, for a woman who does so much. She's one person and she does so much. And then the state dinners and stuff, they to me are easier. But for Oprah, it's so personal with her that I really would always work really, really hard to make sure it was absolutely perfect, because I knew that she appreciated perfection. I worked for Martha Stewart, and I understood about what was perceived as perfection. Most people don't know what perfection is. Most of us live in the kind of the average world. But people like Oprah Winfrey, nothing is never average. It's always above average. It's the best. Give them your best. But also with Oprah, too, one of the great things I remembered about her was one time we had a dinner at the house, and I said to her, and it was for a team from her offices. And I said, Miss Winfrey, I said, what wine shall we serve? And she said, Art, we only serve our best. Whatever they want, we serve. She never, ever would distinguish the price or quality of the wine according to the people. We were all the same, and we all deserved the best.
I love that. Well, as election night gets closer and closer, a lot of us are glued to the TV watching the results come in. Can you recommend a good election night snack?
I make a fantastic turkey chili that I have served to a lot of politicians. And I think a beautiful turkey chili with all kinds of condiments is something that's comforting and delicious. I would either do that or my mother's chicken and dumplings. Both of those recipes are great. And That's what I think. The other stuff, you just wind up eating too much of it and you feel fat as you eat it. I'd rather eat protein and feel good about myself and have yourself something good to drink.
It'll take the edge off if your favorite candidate doesn't pull through.
Yeah.
You've alluded to it several times, so I have to ask you, how did you manage to lose 70 pounds during quarantine when the rest of us can barely button our jeans?
I just focused on the fact that I needed to be here for my family. I wasn't happy in the state I was in. I was not emotionally feeling well about it. And I did it. What happened was a friend of mine came to visit me from Argentina, Lucas Consulier, a pro rugby player. And he came to visit me and he was here and I was complaining. So he said, let's do something about it. And I started working and COVID happened and he got stuck here. And so for the next several months, he worked with me every day, still does. I'm working with him now. He can't go home yet. Every day we work out and we did it.
Wow. That's amazing.
A chef and a rugby player.
I know. I don't know if you've seen on social media when they have like, pick your quarantine house. I want to be in your quarantine house with a chef, a rugby player / trainer. I think I heard a dog in the background. Love dogs. Yeah.
Yes, we have 2.
What a great quarantine house. Art Smith, thank you so much for your time. And is there anything else we didn't touch on that you wanted to mention?
No, just remember that when all else fails, feed them. And remember that cake is magic and a little cake can set you free.
A little cake can set you free. This was great. It was great to talk to you. Thank you for your insights and congratulations on your weight loss. That's incredible.
Thank you very much, dear.
That was Chef Art Smith speaking with Dalia Colon. You can find Smith's recipes for hummingbird cake, turkey chili, and his mother Addie Mae's chicken and dumpling soup on our website, thezestpodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening today. Please subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, and leave us a review on iTunes if you like what you hear. I'm Robin Sessingham. Dalia Colon and I produce The Zest with help from Cheyenne Jaglal and Mark Hayes.
Copyright 2020, WUSF Public Media, University of South Florida.